Hello everyone, I'm Cole from the Kingdom, and today we are continuing our review of the origins in Dragon Age Origins. Today we have the Dalish Elf origin. I think this is the shortest of all the origins, and I think after I finish this series, I never want to say the word origin again. Although it's the shortest, it's still one of the most memorable, I think because it presents a lot of mystery, and introduces us to the Dalish, which are just a cool culture when they're not being assholes. So we start with humans running through the woods and running into Tamlin wielding a bow and arrow. They act all tough, like he can't take all of them, but then we show up in our Dalish cheerleader armor and that shuts them up. They tell us about a cave they found with ruins inside, and they found a tablet with written Elvish on it. But they allegedly ran out after encountering a demon. Tamlin maintains a lot of anger and judgment on humans, but I tell him to be more forgiving. We let them go, and he says we should go check out the cave. I tell him I have a bad feeling about this demon, and even if I didn't, I think we should go tell the keeper and get backup. At least after confirming the ruins are there. We encounter some wolves on the way, but not to worry. We are wearing Dalish cheerleader armor, so there's no way wolves can hurt us. We find the ruins, and Tamlin insists on going in. We fight giant spiders and see several people strung up in webs, as well as bones lying around. Then we encounter undead, which we surmise means the veil is thin here, which could explain the strange feeling of unease he feels. We can talk to Tamlin, and if we're female, we can suggest we want to be more than friends. It's very cute, and there is a surprising amount of love for this ship online. I'm glad for that, even if I'm not that into it myself. Though there is an error when he asks if we were supposed to be helping Master Verathorn, who is in a totally different clan. So anyway, I keep telling Tamlin we should stop and go for help, but he insists on continuing past all the red flags. We pass a statue that is apparently a Fallen Din and looks unsettlingly similar to a Sidereal Magister. I don't know if that's on purpose or not. We finally get to the Eluvian chamber, where we fight a Baraskarn. If we try to explore behind the Eluvian, the game forces us back to look at the mirror. Then he sees something move in the mirror. He sees a city with a great blackness that may be underground. He says something sees him and he can't look away. There's an explosion of energy, we see Duncan looking over us trying to help, and we wake up back at camp. Apparently 2 days have passed since then. Our clanmate, Fen'Harel, not to be confused with Fen'Harel, is watching over us and then goes to get the keeper. She fills us in on stuff about Duncan as a Grey Warden, she says he had been looking for the Dalish when he found us, and she asks what exactly happened. We tell her about the undead and stuff, and then about the mirror. She says she's never heard of such a thing, and that's not that surprising. She tells us we should take Merrill back to quickly investigate and look for Tamlin, but we can't take too long because the clan is moving due to both the Darkspawn and a human village wanting to come drive us away. These guys are dicks. Also, the keeper tells us Tamlin's life is at stake, so we shouldn't tarry. So naturally, this is our only chance to talk to everybody in the clan and learn more about the Dalish. We can go talk to Fen'Harel, who says he wants to join us when we go back to the ruin. I say yes, and tell the keeper about it. We can go talk to Haran Pyvel, and he berates us for going into the ruin without telling the clan. I agree with him. Then we help him tell some children the Cliff Notes version of the Elven history. I appreciate having all the funny responses we can give, even if I never use them. We loot the camp, because of course we do. We can go talk to Marin, who watches over the Hala. She has a nice attitude, I like her. But she has a line about the Hala being friends and equals, unlike the human sources. This line feels clunky to me, and I don't think it's something you'd say to an elf who grew up in the clan, much less one who just stopped by for a quick chat after waking up from a coma, and is about to head into a dangerous ruin again. Maybe that's nitpicky, but it stands out to me. We can talk to Island the Craftsman, and he is a liar. First of all, he tells us his family was one of the first to leave the Dales, about 800 years ago. So that's nonsense right there. Then he tries to tell us the Dalish clans formed an alliance and attacked the human Clane tribe in the area. It was meant to be preemptive since they believed the Clane would attack them too. But this is bull. Callan had united the Clane in the Exalted Age shortly after the Fourth Blight. No way the Dalish invaded Ferelden after its unification. Even if they won, that would have led to more hostilities. Even if it was before Callan had united the Clane, that they still would have united to wipe out the Elves in retaliation for this alleged invasion. Islan is a liar. So we can go talk to Qunari and Paul, a city elf. This is good. Paul tells us what life is like for the city elves and what everyone else thinks of the Dalish. He's nervous about joining, but happy that we've been so friendly. This is a good interaction. Though he invokes the name of Andraste, but I think that's good. It's realistic that he would still have that habit, and beliefs too. So then we talk to Ashal, who is sort of like our adoptive mother. We can ask her what happened to our parents, and it's actually a really touching story. They were in love, but they weren't accepted. Our father was killed, and our mother survived to give birth to us, but then just walked out into the woods, never to be seen again. I want to say it's a little weird that no one was able to track where she went, but then I remembered we're in the Brazilian forest, which sometimes gets wonky with magic, and it's easy to get turned around. Also, there are werewolves. Oh my god. Is our mother a werewolf? So then she gives us the key to a chest which contains an heirloom necklace. Okay. Could have handed that to us directly, but okay. Unfortunately, none of the other cheerleaders have full conversations with us, so we go talk to Meryl. Yeah, she's kinda boring in Origins. I headcanon she's more like she is in 2. And I also headcanon that a male Fen'Harel had kind of a thing with her, but it never got the chance to develop into anything big. Speaking of romance, Ashal also mentions our budding relationship with Tamlin and how she has/had high hopes for it. Islan also mentions it after returning, but we establish that he's a liar, so I don't care. So we head back to the cave with Meryl and Fen'Harel, and this time we encounter Darkspawn. Meryl comments how sick and evil they feel, and then they mention how we look sort of pale. Then she notes how the forest is too still and there are no animals around. She describes a feeling similar to what Tamlin described in the ruin, suggesting the taint is spreading. Stop laughing! So we head back in the ruin and fight more Darkspawn. We get back to the Eluvian room and find Duncan. He apparently hasn't been here long, so I don't know what he has been doing for the past 2 days while we were sick. I don't like this conversation with him. I don't like either of our options here, so I go with the one that is less rude, and he gives me a dirty look. He explains the mirror is Tevinter and used for communication. This is technically true, and I appreciate having characters in the world having misunderstandings about history. So Duncan explains that the mirror is infected with the Blight. Knowing what we know now, I think it's less that the mirror itself is infected, and more it's just transmitting it from wherever it's connected to. When Tamlin touched it, the Blight energy magic or whatever was released and started spreading further, which drew in the Darkspawn. He destroys the mirror and says the ruin should be cleansed with fire if the Dalish want to come back. We can ask about Tamlin and our sickness, and he explains we can't be cured, and Tamlin is definitely dead or worse by now. It seems a little blunt, which I wouldn't be too upset about, except for the fact that this whole conversation is pretty cold. We can tell him we want to look for Tamlin some more, and this is our only chance to explore behind the Eluvian. There's not really anything of note, just more bodies and a chest. So we head back to camp, and Duncan and the Keeper go to talk privately. We can go around to some of the other members of the clan, and they mostly ask about Tamlin. I tell them Duncan said Tamlin is dead, or that we never found the body. I never personally confirm his fate. Things are emotional, and we ask Haran Pyvel to prepare a memorial service. We go back to Duncan and the Keeper, and Duncan says the only way to cure us is to join the Grey Wardens, and we will probably not see our clan again. But he is nice and says probably, not definitely. He's nicer here than he was back at the ruin. I like that he says he wouldn't make the offer if he didn't think we were capable. So we have to go because we have a lot of ground to cover and we are running out of time. Then we get the final scene of our clan saying goodbye as we leave with Duncan. I like this origin. It's short but satisfying, except for the conversation with Duncan in the ruin, and a little bit of clunky dialogue, and Islan being a liar. The level design is decent, the combat doesn't drag on for too long, we get a good look at the Dalish and how they treat each other like family, we set up the threat of the Darkspawn. This is good. It doesn't give us a ton of content later in the game, but there is enough to make it satisfying. So let me know what you guys think of this origin and what other videos you'd like to see. So that's it for now, guys. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to comment and like. I'll see you later.